Well, hey friends, welcome to the Everyday Mulemanship Podcast. I'm Ty Evans, and hanging out with me today is Miss Codi Gines. Thanks for being here, Cody.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, I appreciate you. Known you for a long time. It's a privilege to call you and your family friends. We had your husband on the show a long time ago, like I don't know, 2, 3 years ago. Everybody knows him as the finger guy.
Yeah.
So, if you guys haven't listened to Colby's episode, go check it out. It's a pretty good time. He's a old Colby. He's a good storyteller. So we had
Right.
fun. But anyways, I'm glad to have you on here. And for my listeners, Cody, that might not know you and know about you and your family, maybe you could just introduce yourself a little bit, talk about yourself, your family, and what you guys do, and where you're from, and all that business.
Okay. Yeah. Well, my maiden name is Cody Clark. So of course my mom and dad is Jake and Kay Clark. Originally from Powell, Wyoming. And of course my dad started Jake Clark's Mule Days, which is a big, great event. My mom and him worked for many, many years, worked hard on making Mule Days what it is. So that's awesome for the mule industry. And then I married Colby, and we have two boys. They're not so young anymore. They grow up way too fast. Caden, he's 21, and Kason is 17. So we'll be empty nesters soon and not know what to do.
Holy cow, that is crazy. That's so crazy. I just, you know, when you don't see people very often, like I usually see you guys once a year, and over the years, it's like, no, I just still picture them as little boys riding mules around at the cells,
Yeah.
just little kids. That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. They grow up way too fast, but they're both in love with roping and they love roping and uh, hunting. Caden's a
Mm.
big time hunter. He actually, uh, his first year out of high school, he wasn't a big fan of school itself. So I convinced him just to take a year off and go work and see what you actually want to do. So he did, and he guided hunters his first year out of high school, actually loved it. But then he decided, oh, I want to go to college. So, which was great. And so he's been college rodeoing and he got his welding certificate at Northwest College. And um, I think he'll be done after this year. He's at Central Wyoming College. I think he'll be done and just keep training horses and mules and roping. So, and then Kason, of course, he's 17. He actually has his own company, Primetime Sound Management, and he runs a lot of sound for rodeos and events and stuff like that. And he's roping a lot too, so he's doing good.
That's awesome. So is he graduated now?
Nope, not yet. He's a junior.
Junior, right on. Well, won't be long.
Nope.
And yeah, you guys won't know what to do with all your time. So that's cool. I want to go way back, Cody. Talk about growing up. Of course, you mentioned your mom and your dad. Everybody knows your mom and dad.
Yeah,
In fact, one of these days, I'd like to get your old man on the podcast. He
that'd
probably
be
doesn't know, yeah, he probably doesn't know what a podcast is, but
no.
yeah, but it'd be fun to get him on. And of course, that episode I might have to plan like 5 hours because once you press play on old Jake, it just keeps coming.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
but anyways, let's talk about growing up because you had pretty cool upbringing, and um, I mean, yeah, you mentioned your dad and your mom starting Mule Days up there. How old were you when they started Mule Days?
Um, Goodness, I was a teenager. I don't remember the exact year. Sometime in high school, probably my junior year, so 17, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we had just moved to that place that they own now. And my dad, he used to build houses, so he built that house my eighth grade into my freshman year, and then just kept building in the arena. So yeah, my junior year when I was 17, but
And so that's in Ralston. And you did you grow up pretty much right there before that, before you guys moved to that
we
location?
were we were close. We were halfway between that location and Powell
Okay.
on the same side of the highway. But that's when that first house that I grew up in, my dad built as well. But um, that's when that was out of town, but that's not
Mhm.
really out of town anymore. So then they bought all that land in Ralston and we moved out there. He actually used to, I remember he had a old, I think it was 1957 Chevy, and we still lived at the old house, but we were getting hay from the new place, and I just wanted to drive. I think I was 12 years old. Yeah, 12. And so he said, "Yeah, you can drive. Just go to the new place and get a full load of hay on the pickup and you can drive." So I took all the back roads and had to hop on the highway just a little ways there and load a full load of hay by myself just so I could drive, but I loved it.
Yeah, that's no surprise to me. I'm sure you did all kinds of stuff as a youngster that most kids these days just wouldn't even think about doing. So, did you always have mules and horses and that lifestyle early
Yep.
on?
Yep. So, ever since I was little, my dad was an outfitter and he ran some camps out of Meeteetse up the Grable River. And the first trip I remember, I was only 3 and my dad had to go in to, I can't remember if we were packing camp out, which I don't think it was. I think he was taking something into camp because the weather wasn't too bad. But he wasn't going to let me go. And I just begged him and begged him, "I can make it, Dad. I can make it." And he's like, "I know you can, but that's a lot to put on a parent to take your tiny kid in when you got a big job to do." But he let me go. And we rode in and rode back out the same day. And then when we got to the trailhead and they were unloading mules and stuff, of course, I was only 3, so I was tired. So he let me curl up with a blanket and he found me by the tire on the truck taking a nap. But uh, that's when it all started. And so we grew up with, he had more horses then, if I remember correctly, when I was that young. But then he ended up getting more and more mules and loving the mules, especially for the mountain work.
Oh yeah, I bet. So how involved were you? I mean, obviously, you're talking like 3 years old, you're going back in already, but like throughout your childhood, how involved were you in your dad's outfitting stuff? Did you go to camp quite often? Did you get involved with the hunts quite often? What'd you do?
Yeah, so we did as much as I could, with school. We couldn't miss more than 10 days all year, which is
Mhm.
tough. But we went in all the time on summer trips and into camp when we needed to, or I even got to hunt once in a while. When you're an outfitter, though, you don't, an outfitter or an outfitter's daughter or wife, you just don't get to hunt as much.
Yeah,
Uh,
but
so, but yeah, running stuff in for camp. I remember my mom had to do that a few times, so I went with her, and we went as much in the summer as possible. My dad always took us. We were right there with him.
yeah, that's awesome. Now, I remember actually talking to Colby about that, about not being able to hunt because, like for me, my main time of the year to do clinics, like the hot time is September, October. That's
Yeah.
when everybody wants to do a clinic. September, October, or June. June's the famous month too. But so I was telling Colby one day, I'm like, man, I haven't had my own tag in like 7 years, since I've had a tag, and he's like, well, I hear you, man. Like the same thing when you guys, outfit. And he's like, yeah, we were taking other hunters, but we didn't get to hunt very often, you know. And it's just the way of life it is, when you got to make a living like that.
Yep, for sure. So now,
So go ahead.
uh, oh, well, so then as we got older and I was married, then Colby and I just, we had the opportunity to buy a really, really good hunting camp in the thoroughfare. And so we did that. So then we had our own outfitting business and run that for a few years. And, but since we sold that, we, finally get to hunt ourselves, so that's been real nice here the last couple years.
Yeah, yeah, I bet. So, how involved were you? Like, what did you get to do in these outfitting camps, and like, what was your job? What'd you do?
So, my favorite part was helping set up camp because that was right. I used to teach school, and so summers were valuable, and we would go in August right before school started and set up camp. So I loved helping set up camp, drag logs in. so that the guys could cut them, stuff like that. One year we had to rebuild our cache because it got destroyed by all the snow. And that was a big job because you can't take any power tools in or anything, no chainsaws, nothing like that. So we used block and tackle to um, pull up all the posts and, hand dig the holes for the great big trees that they had to cut for posts and stuff like that. But I guess setting up camp was the funnest part about it, and spending those few days in there. And then during actual hunting season, I was the lucky one. I got to buy the groceries and help pack panniers and check on the guys and our packer. My favorite one is Jeff Pace.
Good old Jeff. We all love Jeff. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. But make sure those guys got in and out okay and home okay, and then get them loaded and ready to leave the next day. And that's what I got to do.
Just keeps going.
Yep.
Just keeps on going, huh? Yeah, that's there's a lot of sheep herders around here in this country. This is sheep country down here in this Wasatch Plateau. From here all the way down to where you've been, down there to Bryce Canyon, this whole mountain range is like mostly sheep country. They run cows up there too. But anyways, there's a lot of sheep herders that kind of like your outfitting camps, your hunting camps. I mean, these guys live on the mountain all year, and it's not like some of the sheep herders that get their nice sheep camps. You know what I'm talking about? No, these guys are living in wall tents just because they're like in real backcountry, you know.
Yeah.
And same thing that these guys just every week. All right, what do you want? Hauling the groceries, and everybody has their own little order of things they need. And anyways, I get to help with that quite a bit around here. So uh, yeah, it's the same thing for them. It's just all right. The week went by quick. Here we go again. Pack it up. So
Yeah.
were you, was it on the business end of things, like booking hunts and booking these trips and things? Was that your gig too, to take care of bookings, or who handled all
Yep.
that for you?
Yep. Yep. I actually kind of forgot about that, but yeah. So
Mhm.
I was just the secretary. So contracts, everything like that, I did. Uh, we'd go to some sports shows and Dallas Safari Club and everything like that. That one was our best one. And we'd book a lot of hunters there. So I'd always go to that one with Colby and take care of all the paperwork.
Yeah, I bet that's a task in itself, right, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. And then January is the month they put in for tags, so making sure everybody had the points that they needed to draw, and whether they need to put in for the regular tag or the special, because
Mm.
the special kind of gives you one extra point, but you got to pay more, and just making sure we had everything ready for that draw because that's huge.
Yeah, I mean, if they don't draw, no hunt, right?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
that's not good for you guys.
Yeah. No. Yeah, because no matter what, I think at our biggest point in the business, we had 98 head of mules. And
Wow.
yeah, so I mean, you've got those 98 head of mules to feed year round, whether your hunters are drawing tags or not, you
Well,
know.
talk about that a little bit, because that's a full-time job itself right there. 98 head of mules. How'd you guys manage that? Like how'd you manage keeping them up, keeping them in shape, keeping them shod, keeping them fed, keeping them trained? I mean, talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, that was a job all in its own, actually. Trying to get enough shoers that would come shoe them, and hopefully on the same day or throughout. I guess Colby would set a full week, to get all the mules shod and ready to go to the mountain. Um, we put them on pasture most of the time, but as we go, pasture's harder to find. Some pastures we'd have them on, end up selling and subdividing, and so pasture's super hard to find. But it was really good because they got used a lot in the real world and up and down the trail and packing stuff and packing meat and whatnot. So it was great for us, and that's why we were able to sell mules here and there, because we could actually start mules by what we did and using them. So it was tough because you always want to keep the good mules. because they make your job easier on the mountain.
Mhm.
But it was like a second job to be able to start those colts and younger mules on the mountain because it gave them something to do and real world experience, you know?
Oh yeah. Well, that's how I met you guys. Was back in the day when you guys were primarily selling mules at these auctions and these sales. And you guys used to have piles of them, to bring to the sales, and that's how I got to know y'all. But back then, how did you decide who's gonna be sold? Are you looking at what's gonna bring you some good money? Like, are you viewing it from a business aspect? Like, okay, well, that's a really good mule. Like you're saying, I don't want to sell it because we're doing a job with it, but that's also
Right.
going to bring the most to the sale.
Yeah, exactly. That's how we did it. You know, the best ones that we could let go, um, and then just keep training mules as we went. We didn't like to get rid of them, but we knew they'd bring the most money because they were our best mules.
Yeah, I think in business, and that's something else I want to get in with you, Cody, because you guys are amazing at business in the equine world, is being able to diversify like that. There's a lot of people that um, it's cool actually because I'd say the last 2 years I've had more people inquire with me about getting into this industry, getting into this business in the mule world. And, they always want a suggestion, like, well, what do you think? I said, diversify, like do as many different things as you can. So yeah, go guide hunts and you're riding these mules, you're training them at the end of the season or get ready for the sale, take your mules, sell them, buy new ones, you can take colts for the public at the same time, maybe, and work them, but you kind of have to do all of it to make a
Yeah.
living in this business.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and to be able to show the mules, everything like that, that's what's great, and that makes the real good mules. Um, so it worked for us, for sure.
Yeah, that experience. I mean, just getting out and using those mules is so good for them. I tell people that come to my clinics all the time, all these people, and I'm the same. They want like a relationship with their mules. Like they really want that relationship, that bond, whatever they want to call it, right? That partnership. And I'll tell them, you really want that? That's what you really want? Yeah, yep, that's what I want. Okay, go use them. Go
Yeah.
out and use them. Go take them on the mountain. Go take them down the trail. Go take them camping. Go do stuff with them. Because I believe, like, even one camping trip, you just go out for the weekend. And you take your mule, and that involves you putting it out to feed, putting it on the high line at night or whatever you're doing, and taking care of it and make sure it's got water, um, and then riding it. That's more valuable than like 2 weeks of riding in the arena.
Yes.
Like, and that's coming from a guy I'm an advocate for preparing, go ride in the arena, get them good, get them handy, but I'm even a bigger advocate for go use them. You'll get more out of it.
Yeah.
I just rode a mule the other day, took it out to the desert, and it was just a day ride, really, but it was a kind of a hard day ride. We were really working some technical stuff, ride all day basically to go like 8 miles. Okay, so that tells you the terrain, right? It's challenging terrain. And but that day of riding, man, I couldn't get that in a week of riding at home, you know. It was so
Yep.
good for them. And so you guys taking your mules out like that, I think that's what gave you guys a really good edge in your reputation in the mule world is people knew, hey, these guys are using them. They're using them for dang sure. That's so good.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, you have the pictures to back it up of them being pack mules and being in a string and then being ridden and constantly doing something different, crossing rivers, crossing bridges, and the pictures were easy to come up with. Yet instead of just confirmation photos, when you can add those real life pictures of going out and doing something, kind of like Scott and Sandy Salee, Black Mountain Outfitters. They've got the real life pictures. The mules really, they get used in the mountain and see a lot of things. Even if you're not a hunter or a mountain person and you just want to do a little trail ride or something, these mules are great because they've seen so much. And even if you just want to ride in the arena, or you want to take the mule and show it and it's just been in the mountains, it's going to be easier to go show with because they've seen a lot of stuff, I
Yeah.
believe.
Yeah, and I'll agree with you for sure on that, because the reverse isn't always true. I've seen a lot of mules and horses that have been primarily in the show world. And then my world was the rodeo world, right? So a lot
Yeah,
of these guys team roping and yeah, they can go team rope. Some are winners. They're champions. Like they're winning guys. This is not like their horses are amateur. No, these are good. And then you go out riding with them, and the horse is like, "Oh my gosh, that's a rock," And they're like, "Oh, this is," And then the guys are like, "Nah, yeah, I should just. This is just gonna be an arena horse." But like you're saying, hey, I love a mule or a horse that you can take out. You could go out cutting with, and you could go do everything with, and then you show up in the arena. You can go do your job.
right. Yeah,
I
to
was
even
just
in the horse world or the mule world, take them ranching, branding, tagging, do all that on them, and then they're going to work even better for you in the arena.
Oh yeah. I had Casey Field on the podcast the other day, and it was fun talking to him. He's everybody knows him as the bareback rider,
Yeah,
6-time world champion and $3 million winner. Everybody knows that, but a lot of people don't know that he ropes a lot. He loves to rope. He's a good roper. He's a really good roper. His dad was a dang good roper. Louis was one of my main mentors.
yeah.
And anyways, we were talking about horses and making horses and things, and he's like, you know what? All my roping horses, they need to be able to pack an elk, and that's just his attitude. He's like, because I know that, exposing them to that kind of stuff, doing that kind of stuff, helping them deal, they learn how to deal with stresses of the mountain. Then when you show up to the arena, that roping box isn't that big of a deal anymore.
Right.
It's not that big of a deal. The stresses and the noises, it's not that big of a deal, and so. You guys definitely did that too. I mean, you guys use them. That's for dang sure.
Yeah.
Did you have your favorite mules when you were in the business there outfitting? Did you have like, okay, Colby, we can't sell these ones. Did you have those?
I have to admit, like we had our favorites, but my dad taught me everything's for sale for the right price.
You're
So I'm
just
really
you're
bad
raised
at
that
selling.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just reality. Like, you know what? I gotta go, And that's the livestock business for you, isn't it? Like that's just the way it is. This is the first time in my life I've had a mule that I probably wouldn't sell.
Yeah.
So, and I love her. She's like my buddy. I'm sure others wouldn't see a lot in her. She's a quarter horse mule, but she looks like a draft mule. She's kind of that orangey color sorrel, and
Mhm.
got the flaxen mane and tail, and her head is way too big. And she's just, she's ultra like cow hawk, like bad. She her hawks touch each other. Anyways, but I won the mule when I won my very first title, that training title I won way back. She
Oh
was
yeah.
the prize. She was just a baby. She was a weanling. And even at the time I won her, I was kind of like, well, she's not that pretty of a baby, you know. But raising her up and then training her, she's just my pal. Like I'm not selling her. And
Mhm.
I've never had that, Cody. My same thing. I grew up like you. For my dad, everything is for sale.
Yeah.
Everything. Like even us as kids.
Right.
Probably. It's like for the right price, yeah, I'll let you go.
Yeah.
So I was the same way, and yeah, this is kind of a different time in my life where I got a meal that I'm like, I just really don't want to sell. And also it changes too. I think in different parts of life, like way back, I didn't have any money, so I mean, it was a paycheck to paycheck, sometimes not even. Sometimes there was more months, left at the end of the money, you know.
Yeah.
Um, and so yeah, everything was for sale, but yeah, it's
Yeah.
changed. It changes a little bit.
Yeah. And we're not getting any younger. So the older we get, the more we don't want to sell those good meals, when you're older.
Yeah, you're like, well, this is a pretty good one. I don't know.
Yeah. Like my best mule right now, I actually did offer for sale as a 5-year-old at my dad's sale,
Mm.
and no sold her. And I mean, it would cost a lot of money to replace that mule right now. So, and I'm getting older, like I say, and to be able to pull her out of the pen one time a year and use her, and she's golden as it gets. Uh, yeah, I probably wouldn't sell her at this point.
Yeah.
Uh, but then Colby has a good mule, and I never even considered about selling her. We got her out of the loose pen in Billings when she was 6 years old, and we were in the outfitting business, and one of the best looking bay mules I've ever seen. So we thought, well, we got to try her. Supposedly, we heard that well, we called the owner. We heard that she had 6 rides. Uh, and we thought, well, we'll give her a chance, you know?
Mhm.
And that's been his number one mule all through hunting and the outfitting business, the last half of it since we had her. And I guess I never even considered selling her, but it's because, you got to have a few good ones to go back to, ride one you're training one day and then a good one the next, and swap them out and give them days off. But she's golden. She bucked first ride every fall. And Colby was lucky to stay on every time, so she didn't try too hard, but he still loved her. So
Hmm.
we still got her, but she's old. She's older now.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fun. Um, so a big thing I want to talk to you about, and I kind of mentioned it a little already, is equine business. You guys, you and Colby, you guys have, in my opinion, revolutionized the auction business, the mule sale business, the horse sale business. I mean, it's amazing what you guys are doing. Everything from the process that you're putting the actual sellers through to be able to sell the mules, which I think is really good, and that brings a lot of buyer confidence. We can talk about that too, but this isn't particularly a business podcast. It's a mulemanship podcast. However, more and more of these days, I am getting more inquiries about people, they're interested in getting in this world, and so I thought it'd be good to maybe chat with you about things that for the up and comers, hey, you want to get in this? You want to start selling mules? They're seeing the prices you guys are bringing, which is awesome. You guys are doing just killing it. Um, and so it's inspiring some people which I think is good for the business. I think it's
Yeah.
really good for the business. So let's talk about, I guess, the sale that I get to come to every year and be around is there at Bryce Canyon Mule Days. Your Chrome in the Canyon sale. Um, let's talk about that a little bit. I mean, that's been a good time for sure.
Yeah, it is. Well, we wouldn't be there if it weren't for you, because you're the one that was talking to Colby and told him about Mule Days there, and that's how he got a hold of Meekums, and we got there to begin with. So thank you. But it
Oh
is
yeah.
it is a great. First and foremost, you got to have a good platform to do them on, do the sales on, and Bryce Canyon Mule Days is a great platform run by great people. Um, it's just a great place to be.
Oh yeah. It's so fun. And it brings something fun to that town that's in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah,
Like it's nobody's ever heard of Tropic Utah.
yeah,
And that sounds like an oxymoron. Tropic Utah. That's not, those things don't go together. But in fact, I still don't know the origin of that name. I need to ask McLean one of these days. Like, why is it called Tropic? I don't know. But
I never
anyway,
thought of that.
yeah, there's nothing tropical about it.
No, but it is
It's the
beautiful in its own way. It's so beautiful, and the country
Mhm.
around there is just awesome. It's crazy how different it is from 5 miles this way to 5 miles that way, or the slots ride, and the rides are just so different. It's great.
Yeah, it's cool country. It's wild country down there, man. It's rough. It's pretty cool. So let's talk about selling mules.
Okay.
Let's talk, I want to pick on both sides of things, okay? Let's pick on some buyers and let's pick on some sellers and talk about I want to talk about really good things that you really suggest, and then let's talk about mistakes that we make because we want to learn from these things, right? So,
Yeah.
What do you want to talk about first? Buyers or sellers?
You pick.
All right, let's talk about sellers first.
Okay.
Um, because it begins with them, obviously. Like you got to bring a good product. Um, one of my favorite things about what you guys do is the sift. I love it. I love it. And I know there's a lot of mixed emotions
Oh man,
about it. And I know you guys get so much heck about it. You know, a lot of people hammer you on that, but I think it's a good thing.
they do.
I
And
like it.
we don't, that's good. And that's why we did it,
Mhm.
and we did it for the buyers and to make the sale better because, um, we're just trying to help the mule industry is all, but we like it. We like the idea, but we don't like doing it because, we've
Yeah.
even had to sift some of our best friends, you know?
Yeah, that's so
We've
bad.
had to sift
Yeah.
people that work for us before,
Mhm.
and we that's a tough deal. That's really, really tough, but it is what it is. It's the sift. It's kept a lot of people from not putting mules in our sale, but that's fine if they're not going to fit our sale. If they're good, and I know anything can happen, which we hope nothing does on that when we sift them, but uh I don't know. It's just it's kept a lot of people from putting meals in our sale, but we keep getting more and more nicer meals each year, and I think people are having more confidence in their meals that they're selling, which is great because that's what we want to sell, and we're quality over quantity. So we're not going to ever sell 70 or 80 head of mules. Um, the the main reason is that those great mules are hard to find. So you really can't find 70 or 80 great mules. They're
Yeah.
super hard to find. So
I think the sift is amazing. I think you guys have done a good job at diving deeper into what makes quality sales and auctions. And I know it is hard, like you're saying. Yeah, I've seen you guys. You've had to sift friends, and they're looking at you like, "Well, hey, it's me. Hey, like, sorry, your meal doesn't fit, bud. Like, it's just not gonna work." And I think in the short term, like right then, it kind of has a sting to it. But I think the lesson is incredible. I think it's so valuable because you are you are upping the standard of mulemanship. You're upping the standard of what is going to be represented, you know. And I think that's the definition of integrity. Like the integrity you guys are trying to bring into the sale world is so cool. And yeah, it's hard. It's really
yeah,
hard. It is really, really hard, especially because you know as well as I do, the mule world is the good old boys club. So
right.
bad. And it's the saying it's not what you know, it's who you know is so relevant in mules, right?
Yeah,
To a fault. And I like that you guys are actually tearing that down. You're saying, no, hold on a second. Like, just because we're buddies doesn't mean you're going to get in here and this is going to be, we're just going to let you fly. You're, we're,
exactly.
we're turning this up. And, and I think that actually, in the long term, like I said, in the short term, it probably stings a little bit for those people, maybe a lot. But in the long term, they'll go, okay, all right, so they're serious. So this is really what I need to bring. This is what I need to do. And like you're saying, the people that you've probably, I guess, deterred because of that,
Yeah,
when you really think about it, you don't want it anyways. That's not the animal that you want there at that cell. Um, and for the longest time, auctions, man, yeah, face it, they got a bad rap. They just there's just a stigma with it, right?
yeah,
The auction and the conniving behind it. And I feel like you guys are really doing a good job at just digging that crap out and bringing some integrity to it. And the buyers are noticing it. They like it. They're like, okay, it gives them that added confidence. Yeah, let's face it, there's always risk. Hey, and this is my part of the thing is, hey, remember it's a mule. It's a living, breathing, bleeding, thinking, acting being. So yeah, stuff happens, but you guys are doing a great job at putting all that stuff in the forefront.
yeah. Thank you. We're trying to help the buyers all we can. I mean, from nomination, we're sifting them at nomination and how they score on our grading rubric, and so that's the first time. So we're helping them all we can. We still need the buyers to go out there and do their homework because, as you know, mules have different personalities, and so we want the buyer to fit that mule. They need to go out there and do their homework, go to the mule's house if they can before the sale and ride them, which actually, nominations opened the 1st of November, and by the end of November, we had some people already going to uh, Fournier's place to ride their mules. We already had buyers going to try a couple of their mules and other people's mules. So that's awesome. But yeah, we want the buyers to get out there, do their homework, um, ride the mules, make sure that they fit the mule because we can only do so much, but we are trying to help as much as possible. And that's why we also have the vet there, and he checks the age on the mules, and then he's also there to take x-rays if the buyers want x-rays. Very seldom do you find much in mules compared to horses under x-rays, I feel. But he is there in case the buyers want that. And then of course we have them turn in that sale exam. So their vets have to check the mules out and turn in that sale exam on the mules, and that's always available for each one of the sale mules.
Yeah, I think that's a huge help, and the money that a lot of these mules are bringing, I tell the buyers, hey, you should be getting a vet exam. So even if this, pretend this wasn't an auction, pretend this wasn't all this big production, and you're just going down the road to your buddy's house and buying a mule, if you're going to write a check that big, you need to go get this mule checked out. Um, because I think that also helps relationships too. Because I do know there's been plenty of times that a seller has sold a mule that they truly didn't know had a physical ailment. And maybe it was just because that particular seller didn't ride the mule the same way as the buyer is going to. You know, um, here in Utah, same as like where you grew up, this is a hunting world and a ranching world. People really use their animals hard here. So they buy a mule from, somewhere that, let's just say like Missouri. They go to one of these sales in Missouri, for example, and they buy a mule there that hasn't been ridden in elevation, going up that mountain and down that mountain. They don't see the crazy elevation changes that we do, right? Well, you take that mule out there and, oh, this mule's pretty sore. Well, why is it sore? The seller, the buyer calls the seller, hey, this mule's sore. And he's like, well, it's never been sore for me. Well, he's never pushed it like that, you know?
Ex-
So I feel like the doing that is so good to bring to light any even minor things. Because then the vet can say, hey, you see this? We got a little bit of, this issue or that issue starting to come up. This is what it means. This is what it could turn into. And, then you adjust to fit the situation, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yep, yep. It's always good to check them out fully, do all you can. And so we're doing all we can for the buyers, and then we want them to do what they can as well. But yeah, that sifting process, it's tough. It it needs to be done, but it's tough on us because you have people that paid their consignment fees. We've advertised for 2 months. They come clear to Tropic, Utah, and that their mule gets sifted, which is the last thing we want to do. But it happens. And then unfortunately, we have critics from that, and it's all of a sudden our fault that their mule bucked, or our fault that, that's the sad part about it. And that's the hard part, is the story always gets swapped. So then it's on us, but it happens.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, what my point of view is, I think the first couple years, people thought you guys were bluffing.
Yeah.
Do you think so? Like, they say they're gonna sift, but we'll see. And I remember watching you guys sift one, and I'm like, they're serious about it.
Yeah.
They're
Was
serious. Like, this is the real deal.
that
Like,
the one that the guy couldn't even get on?
yeah. Yes. Yeah, you know what I'm
Oh,
talking about. You know what I'm talking about. So, it's like this is no bluff, you guys. This is serious. So to the sellers, hey, pay attention. We are serious. Like,
yeah.
you're gonna come sell here. You're gonna get some good money out of this sell. This is the real deal. but you better bring something that's going to represent. Don't try to hide your crap. We're gonna come to the surface on these issues, and I just love that. And
Thank you.
you know how you know me. I am trying to my vision in life is to try to improve the mule world. And I'm
Yeah,
trying to do it through mulemanship, trying to help people, uh, treat the mule better and do better by the mule, um, because it's kind of crap like we're talking about where people try to sneak by or maybe just have that lower standard. That kind of gives the mule a bad rap all the way around,
yeah,
you know. And I don't like that. And so I love what you guys are doing because the standard is there. So you want to come sell at our sale? Hey, get off the couch, go ride that mule and take care of it too. Because that's the thing that your lameness exam brings about. Because you and I both know in the past how many people have hammered on their mule a week before an auction. They just
yeah.
hammer on the thing, and they've hurt them for sure. They can hurt them, and so when they pull up there, well, how come this knee's so swollen, man? You know what's going on here? And there's accidents, no doubt. They fall down in the trailer, or they hit something. I mean, okay, there's accidents. However, I feel like, that's just part of life. But what you guys are trying to mitigate is the ram and jam and the let's just, wear them out and then pull up to the cell and hey, look how quiet this mule is.
Right. Exactly. And if you've noticed, speaking of the sift, if you've noticed, we sifted more at the beginning because, like you said, they thought we were kind of joking.
Mhm.
And we haven't had to sift a mule in a year or two, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
So the sellers are learning too, like if we don't have something good, we're not taking it there because we don't want to get sifted, which that's great. That's exactly what we want. We want to offer the best quality that we possibly can.
Mhm.
But it's been nice. It's same in the horse world in our horse sales. At first we were sifting horses. We were sifting horses for bucking, for visually lameness, we could see it, anything like that, but it's been down a lot more. But with that comes your numbers might be down, because they're not just trying to bring whatever to your sales. So then your numbers are down. Or we've sifted people and they're upset with us, even though they're horse bucked. And so they aren't bringing horses anymore. Well, that's fine because we want quality, we want quality
Mhm.
mules, we want quality horses. So
Yeah, I think it's great. I love it. I love it because it's just up in the standard of the whole mule industry. When I get on my soapbox,
yeah.
which I guess my podcast is my soapbox, Cody. This is my show, right? So if they're gonna listen, they're gonna hear me. Um, I feel like the mule world is behind the horse world in so many ways. Everything from mulemanship, horsemanship aspect, the training, the care, um, the attitudes, and just things that it's behind. And I really like what you guys are doing because it's kind of kicking that in the butt, saying, "Hey, I remember Cody. So you guys always have the or Colby, you guys always have the meeting behind, like by my trailer there at Meal
Oh
Days,
yeah.
right? Yeah. And so sometimes we're around and, we just kind of over here and Colby was getting after it. He's like, guys, brush your mules. Like, oh my gosh, clean them up. What are you doing? Like, go
Yeah.
brush, you know? And
You want you want $20,000 for your mule, you got to have a $20,000 mule. It's the same thing with pictures, like you see on Facebook and they're tied up and their tails off to the side and they're half muddy, asking $30,000. That mule doesn't look worth $30,000,
yeah,
I mean, help it a little bit.
yeah. Yeah. Anyways, I appreciate that. Something else I want to hear from you, kind of more on the business end for the sellers. This is a cool opportunity. So if you play by the rules, which we're trying to advocate for, play by the rules, do a good job. This is an opportunity to do really well in the business. Like you can actually make a living now, and I appreciate that,
Yeah.
I think it's really great. So, what are some tips that you'd like to give to sellers out there or potential seller? What are some things that they should be thinking about that's going to bring them some success?
A good mule, number
Good
one.
meal.
Yep. A good
So
mule.
do you recommend they so and this is a business question, so you're gonna have to come with that mindset. Like, is it better for these guys to go raise a mule up from a colt and go through the process themselves, raising this mule, or is it best that they go find something that's already been started and needs to be polished up? Like, what do you think is the best from that aspect?
I think both of those options are fine. It totally depends on the mule and the person selling the mule. So you can either raise them or find some that need to be polished up, that are started and gentle and willing, but needs to be finished out and see the experiences there are to offer. I think either one of those works great.
I was talking to Sean Peterson, and he and Nelly have always done so good at your sales, and they always bring good stuff. I was talking to old Sean, and I asked him basically the same question, and uh, he said, I would rather sell mules that I've raised all day long because I know everything about them. I can tell the potential buyer or the buyer every single thing. I know how the mule's bred. I know what day it was born. I know what I did, this day, this day, this day, this day. I can tell you everything about it. He said the thing that sucks about it is obviously the margin. Like from a business point of actually making a profit, it's virtually impossible to make a profit on when you've raised.
Yeah.
If you put an hourly deal on it, it's just there's just no way. He said on the other hand, the mules that you find a good mule that and they're out there all the time. A decent trail mule that just doesn't have any handle. Like
Mhm.
whoever's rode it has just trail rode it. Like they just poked down a trail, never asked it to turn, never asked it to stop. It's like, okay, point A, point B. All right, we're good to go. And he says obviously the margins are way higher on those because they're mature. You don't you put 1 or 2 years on those versus 6 or 7 years on when you raised.
Yeah.
Um, so
Right. He's right. He's 100% right as far as margins go. Yep. I
yeah.
think I think either basis for either mule, is still great and could be a good mule to sell at the sale, but the margins, yes, I agree.
What would you tell somebody like your oldest son, that age, early 20s, and really trying to get into the business? Are you telling him, hey, go find some tune-ups that you need to ride and get handy and sell those? I mean, that's how I got started. Like I would get all the free mules and all the free horses and all the cheap horses and cheap mules that were somebody's problem, and I'd put time into them. And back then it was, looking back, I'm like, how did I survive? Because
Yeah.
like
But you
it,
gotta have those problem mules. That's what made you good, I bet.
yeah, I wouldn't change a thing, Cody, because those mules that were at the time, I'm like, this is hard. This is, like what am I doing? I should go get a real job like my mama wants me to, you know? And but they did make me knowledgeable. And I feel like, you know, the way my world has ended up, I'm glad because, I'm in the education business, not the selling business. And but it was hard. So would you tell like your sons, hey, go buy some stuff that's cheap and do the work and learn, or are you advocate from your perspective as both a businesswoman, very successful businesswoman, and a mother that wants her sons to want them to have success? What would you tell them?
Well, um, right now, and especially with them being younger and not having their own place or anything yet, they just buy already started horses and mules, and then make them into what they are. So, like, we just bought 3 4-year-olds in September, and we're roping on all three of them already. But Caden's, the one he ended up getting, is phenomenal. So sometimes you have some that it happens way faster than
Yeah.
not, and some take more time. But anyways, so yeah, we bought some 4-year-olds, but we are raising a few colts too. Not many, but just one or two here and there. And keeping them coming to see what that's like as well.
Yeah, something I'm doing now, just for myself, is I'm starting a cult every year.
Yeah.
Because I realize, I do lots of these, clinics and these cult startings, and I'm helping other people start theirs, so I feel good on that edge. But I'm like, I need to keep my own knife sharp here, like actually do the thing, start the cult, go through that process. So I got one every year. I'll start. We got all these, you know, basically every age of mule out there,
Yeah,
It's
that's
just
perfect.
so I got all different stages. I'm into making bridle mules, so I got snaffle bit mules and hackamore mules, and I got them in the two rein and some in the bridle, and it's fun to stay fresh on that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
sure.
So that's what I do in the wintertime. People ask, "What do you do all winter?" I say, "Well, I make podcasts and I ride my own mules." That's
Yeah.
what I do. So
Try to stay warm.
that's right. That's right. Okay, I got another question for you, and you might have to dig deep on this one a little bit, Cody. So you see all kinds of sellers come to your cells, and obviously you grow up at good old Jake Clark's Mule days, and you've been around the auction world to Billings and Salmon Select Cell, so many cells, right? And all these horse cells. Okay, here's the question: What is mulemanship or horsemanship? What are mulemanship or horsemanship skills that are lacking? Like when you're looking at all these sellers, are you looking out there and be like, man, I sure wish you guys knew A, B, C, D. What what do
Right.
you think? What do you think those are?
Um, Lots of horsemanship skills. If you can improve on anything, it would be horsemanship. And that's what we tell our boys. I mean, anything horsemanship wise. Well, that's what we tell our boys. You're not going to be a better roper if you can't improve your horsemanship. Ride your horse better. Let's go ride a cutting horse, or let's go ride a reining horse, to get that feel. So it's all kinds of horsemanship skills. I believe you can never be too good,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Um, like something I see quite a bit. And this is just my own little pet peeve thing going on right now. Okay. Is is turnarounds, turns on the haunches. Okay. Drives me crazy when people Coke bottle in the cell pan. You know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
Like the hinds are going and the fronts are going. And I'm
Right.
like, no, 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 no. But in most, and I'll say this, most of the buyers, although it's changing, especially at Bryce Canyon, because at Bryce Canyon last year, more than half of the buyers were my students. So it's changing,
That's
but
awesome.
most of the buyers don't see it, right? They'll just, oh, look how good it turns. And they don't
Right.
see the actual standard of it. So to just this naive or ignorant buyer, I don't know what you'd call them, that doesn't know, they're like, oh, that looks cool. But that's
But
like
the
one of my
seller
personal
doesn't know
pet
either.
peeves. What?
The seller doesn't know either, or they
Yeah, yeah,
wouldn't be doing it,
that's right.
unless
Yeah.
they haven't rode the mule very long.
Hmm.
And so they haven't worked on getting them to do it the correct way.
Yeah. So it's just stuff like that that,
Yeah.
you see like, hey, you know what? Like if you actually did it correct, it would look way cooler.
Yeah.
Even to a naive buyer that wouldn't
Yeah.
doesn't understand the flow, like when they actually get back on the haunches and use their hindquarters, the flow of it is so much prettier than when they're just coke bottling and the mule's head sticking up in the air, and they're kind of getting jerked around there. The stuff like that. And I see it, sometimes the sellers, they just I guess they have to prioritize what they're going to work on. A big thing for the majority of them, right, is hey, get these mules gentle. And that would be, whenever somebody comes and they're asking for suggestions as a seller, that's my number one. Number one is gentle. Just gentle, 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 gentle. Like, anything that happens. I mean, pretend to fall off that thing. Like just fall, and
Like Sean does.
yeah, exactly. Like Kittle Shaw,
Yeah.
yeah, he's always goofing around, right? But makes him gentle, just do gentle things. And then the second thing is like I was kind of mentioning, get them handy because the handle, I feel like when you can go into that cell pen with refinement and you can show that. And very few sellers even now, especially in the mule world, are riding in there with some good collection,
Right.
really having that mule light and soft on the rein. Most of them still have to have some type of contact to get something done, you know. And I get it. I get it. Like I said, prioritizing things. Some of these guys just don't prioritize this. I get it. But those are some things that I would like to see, and I feel like your guys' sale is doing a good job at. Hey, come on, get some good stuff going.
Right.
I, I was hanging out with Colby, and we were looking out over the arena there at Bryce, and it was during the well, what do you guys call it when everybody can go out there in the arena? Meet and greet?
Oh, the meet and greet, try before you buy.
Yeah. Yeah. And we were just sitting there hanging out talking, and he said, "Well, Ty, you got some work to do, bud." And I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Out there, you got some work to do." And I said, "For the buyers or the sellers?" He said, "Yep."
Yep.
You know,
Yeah.
it's just kind of fun because there's always there's always learning that can happen.
Always, always. I'm constantly sending my two boys, rain tips, reels and stuff, even I've probably sent the same ones 5 or 10 times, but
Mhm.
it's always good to know for sure. Yeah. Can never.
Anything else that you'd like, like if you could change one thing when about sellers that come to your auctions, is there anything that you're like, I wish you guys would just do this?
Um,
Maybe even on marketing end. We could talk about that too.
that's where my mind goes, but yeah, just answer their phones, you know.
Answer your phone.
Buyers
Yeah.
can't get a hold of you and talk to you about your mules or horses if you don't answer your phones or answer text messages, or constantly you have this is a good one when you have nominations open and then you need to get some information from the seller that's trying to nominate, and it says voicemail has not been set up yet, or voicemail is full, you know,
Yeah.
or you get voicemails that say text me and you might have a better chance of getting hold of me. Stuff like
Mhm.
that. It's not good business at all. I just told Colby and Megan, our office manager, that I think I could make a lot of money just answering text messages, emails, messenger, and phone calls for people. I could make a lot of money doing that.
There you go. There's your next side business.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
all these sellers say, okay, for this additional fee, I will answer it for you.
Yeah, yeah. And then
Yeah.
they come to the sale and they might not get the reserve that they want for their horse or mule. And it's always focused back on the auction company. Some sellers don't ever say, well, what did I do wrong from the start? I didn't
Mhm.
answer my phone. I didn't check my emails. Um, I didn't have the greatest pictures. I had great confirmation photos, but no action photos of my mules out and about being used doing things,
Yeah.
or look at their video, or maybe how long the video is, not showing much, or they just, it seems like most of them that are struggling aren't looking back at what they're doing and how they could improve. And there's so much, because we're constantly honestly trying to improve everything we can every day. And that's why our sales are a little bit different, is because the world is constantly changing and we got to keep up with the times, and we're trying to, as far as the mule sale, we're trying to get the mule industry caught up with the horse world and caught up with the times and technology, because the world's just going to keep changing, and we got to try to stay caught up as far as that goes.
Oh
But
yeah.
yeah, there's so much more that well, sellers could just look back at, well, why did that happen?
We call that, and I stole the term from Jocko Willink. He's a retired Navy SEAL guy, but he teaches a principle called extreme ownership.
Yeah.
And I love it. I just love it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm good at it, but I love it. So basically, it's this, like everything is my fault. And it's not like a boo-hoo, poor me. like, oh, it's my fault, I suck. No, it's not like that. It's, hey, it's on me. Cool. That means I can fix it. So, like you're saying, all right, well, your pictures aren't that great. Okay, good. That's on me. I'll get better pictures next time. Hey,
Hmm.
make more videos. Yeah. Pictures, I would argue these days too that pictures are like, not, I mean, they're the initial like catch your eye, but so it's kind of like the billboard of selling that mule. It's like, hey, oh, that's one thing. The videos are really the cool technology,
Hmm.
and yeah, so make videos, and answer your phone like you're talking about, answer your messages, talk to these people, and not just put it on the auctioneers, your ringmen to sell that mule for you. I think the people that do the best at your sales pretty much have their mules sold before they get there. Like there's a buyer there, and that buyer's going to go home with that mule. They know it. Y-
Yep,
You know.
yep. Some of them do for sure, which is great. It takes us both. It takes their following and our following both to get those prices and those great meals.
Yeah. Talk about on the buyers. Let's pick on buyers now. We've hammered on the sellers now. Okay, let's pick on some buyers. It's their turn. So here's something that I want to say that I think is really important for buyers to remember at a sell is you set the price. You're the one that raises your hand. You're the one that writes that check. And I remember somebody told me this, and it was actually at your dad's sell, like way back. We were talking about prices, and they said, you got to realize here, when you go home with that mule, you were the only person in this whole auction that was willing to pay that much for that mule,
Right.
and that made me go, oh, geez, I never thought of it like that. That, hey, you called the highest price. You paid more than anybody else would. So, you know, take that into account. And the other thing, and I get this side of it, right? People will buy these meals for money, and then they come to my clinics, and it's always the meal did this, meal did that, blah blah blah, and I paid 30,000 for this meal. It better be able to. And I go, whoa, 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 whoa. I said, you set the price. That meal did not set the price. That meal doesn't care that you spent 30 grand or 300 bucks on it. It's a mule. Like, and just because you did spend whatever money on it does not actually entitle you to a certain behavior from that mule, you
Right.
know. Like the mule doesn't care what you spent on it. Anyways, that's my soapbox speech. What's
I,
yours?
I totally agree. I totally agree. And I don't know. I just think of those. So we don't hear anything, after the sale for 6 months, and then all of a sudden they're having trouble with this mule, and they want to. That's the problem I have is then the buyers want to blame the sellers. You know, that can happen in a month actually, or maybe less if you think so with a mule. If the buyer doesn't know what they're doing and haven't had the experience or, been to your clinics or anything, if they don't know, buyers can ruin mules. Do I say it like that?
Yeah, no, any of us can. Anybody can.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you're not doing things that's going to fit that animal, it really doesn't take long. And this is where, you've heard me say this before, these mules, these are living, breathing, thinking, bleeding, breathing beings. These are alive. This is not like a Kubota tractor. You just fire it up and go. No, this thing has its own thoughts. And so what you do with it is going to influence its behavior. It's just like you or I, every daily interaction that we have changes us.
Mhm.
This is why I'm an advocate for being very particular about what you listen to, what you read, people you're around. You become what you read and who you hang out with, pretty much, right? And I tell them it's the same thing for the mule. They're becoming their new environment. They become the new behaviors that you put out, the feelings that you put out. Um, long story short, the mule will rise or fall to your level of experience. They really do. It's just,
Exactly. Yeah. See, so, and the mule was great when we first got the mule. Okay, then. I mean, that's what I have a hard time with. Why are you blaming the seller? The mule was great. But then 6 months later, the mule's not so great, picking up some bad habits. And well, who allowed that? Stuff like that.
it's back to that extreme ownership. It's the same
Yeah,
thing for the buyers. Hey,
exactly.
it's on me, it's on me. Um,
They
and
both, yeah.
obviously I'm an advocate for education. I mean, that's what I do, learn, just learn, and um, I think there is a weird communication at auction between buyers and sellers at auctions sometimes because of the middleman that you guys play. And I'm sure you guys get it. You guys get that middleman feel like, somebody did buy that mule from that person. So instead of going to that person and asking for suggestions or some help or for whatever, well, they're going to call you guys, and you guys are like, I don't know, where's the auction? Like,
Yeah, we do the best we can to provide you with all the material to look
yeah,
at, and make the transaction. We're just the agent in the auction process. So we do all we can, but yeah.
yeah. And but I think because of all the things you guys are doing, it is changing that. Speaking, I mentioned the meet and greet when me and Colby was sitting around
Yeah.
BSing. You know, I think that's great. Like because you're putting this opportunity for them, get out there and visit, get out there and talk, get out there and get to know um, these animals. One thing that I would advise to a lot of buyers is know who you're buying from. And I'm not talking, you know, I am a and Cody, you know me. I'm a default positive, optimistic, honest thinking person. So it's just default honesty for me. So I'm never going around, which it does annoy me when some buyers do this, when they go around skeptically, like,
Oh,
what is he hiding from me? I'm default honest. So I just expect honesty. So I say that to buyers and I say, go out there and instead of thinking that everybody's lying to you, go out and find out what type of riding and what type of mulemanship and horsemanship they practice. This will give you more information on whether you want to buy that mule, more so than anything, I think.
mhm.
If you want to go hunt, if that is your priority, that you're a hunter and you're here to buy a mule to hunt on, you want to pack out that elk, you want to pack out that bear, you're going to run hounds, you're going to do this or that. All right. Well, obviously, the person that's just into the show world, that's probably not going to fit you buying a mule from that individual. There's nothing wrong with that person. It's just not a good fit. So go find that person over there that is big time hunter, and that's all they do. And then vice versa. If you want to go to the show world, okay, don't buy a mule from the hunter because it's probably, never done a flying lead change. So don't like judge that mule on that when it's never been there. I think that's a big part of it. What do you think?
I do too. Yep. Yep. But I would rather buy a mule from a hunter to go to the show pin on, but you would have to teach it to do a
Yeah,
flying.
yeah, yeah,
But I'm only saying that because it's seen a lot.
yeah.
But yeah, they're gonna have to teach it to do the lead changes and everything else. So
Yeah, but find the buyer that fits, or excuse me, find the seller that fits what you do. So like I'm gonna go out there and find somebody that is as close to me as possible if I'm looking for that good fit of an animal, you
yeah.
know.
Yep.
Um, and do your research. The other thing I tell folks is get there as early as you can, you know.
They're going on rides daily,
Yeah.
and most of them will let them ride them on those
Mm.
rides. I mean, the sellers want it to be a good fit too, because they don't want to hear any problems after the sale. They're continually uh training on something new, and they're busy as well, and they want it to be a good fit. They truly do, especially the ones coming to our sale. And we want it to too. So yeah, get there early, you're right. Some of them are going to the homes, on our website it says their location: Wyoming, Missouri, Ohio, Iowa. Texas, Arizona, it says kind of what state they're in. So if you're real interested, you could go try those in the states closest to you or your state if there's any there. If not, I understand, that takes a lot of time and money, but definitely get to the sale early.
Yeah. Shifting gears a little bit. What is the mule world looking like? What's the future of the mule world, the mule industry? Are you optimistic about our future? Are you seeing it going good? Are you seeing down? What's your opinion on that?
Um, I think it's great, honestly. Do you agree with me?
Yeah. Yeah, you
I
guys are
think
in the front of you guys are right there at the front of the mule industry. You're right there at the exchange of the money. And it's cool to see that. I'm downstream from you guys a little bit.
yeah.
I'm always the cleanup crew sometimes, like, all right, because I wish more people would be preemptive and get help before they ever needed it.
Yes.
The mule world would be a better place. But the reality is that a lot of people
Maybe we should do your clinic
after.
right after the sale.
Yeah, just do
Every
it
buyer
after.
has to be in it.
Yeah, it's required. You're gonna buy it this sell, you have to do the clinic.
Yeah, that's a great idea. You have to do two back to back.
There you go. There you go. Yeah. Now these people be like, no, this meal better be perfect. Back to the judgment things, right? It wouldn't be extreme ownership, but anyways, yeah, talk about the future of the mule industry. What are you seeing coming down the road? I'm sure you and Colby have these conversations. I mean, you have to. You guys are at the forefront of the business. So, what do you see coming?
I think it's great. It's slowly catching up with the horse world and with the times, and we're trying to help do that. But I really think it's great. There's a lot of great, not a lot, but there's some great breeders out there that are breeding nice mule coats, and more are doing it. So that helps. Um, I mean, we have a Frenchman's Guy mare that we're gonna breed to a jack, and I mean, straight out of Frenchman's Guy, not clear back on the paper. So, the better mares, I think, and I don't know what a Frenchman's Guy mule colt's gonna be like, but um, we might as well find out. So
Hmm.
maybe play gun mule colt, or I'm a big fan of play guns right now, but I just think that more and more are going to breed better mules. It's done nothing but improve hugely over the past 20 years. Ever since, well, almost 30 years since my folks started their mule days.
Yeah.
So I think it's just going to get better. I don't see how it can't get better. And people are wanting nicer mules, so they're going to breed nicer mules and babies, and I think it's going to be great.
Yeah, I think the prices that you guys are bringing, I think that has inspired a lot of people that used to kind of, look down their nose at the mule industry. They go, whoa, whoa, hold on. Like
Yeah.
there's actually a little bit of money there. And I think that is inspiring, like you're saying, these breeders, and they're gonna bring better quality animals to the table, which is great. I love that. I love that because, I remember working for my dad back in the day, starting colts for him, and in Utah, oh, it was bad. It was so bad, Cody, because people like, well, that mare, we hate that mare, so breed her to a jack. We're gonna get a mule,
Right.
and there was some rank stuff. I mean, it was a rank world back then. And then my dad kind of got to be known as the guy that would work with the rank ones, which
Mhm.
meant me.
Yeah.
I'm the one right, I'm the test dummy, and it made me tough. I appreciate it, but I am looking forward to, it's fun when you get one that's just kind of smart, or they have a way of thinking that is really fitting to new learning. They just can pick up on stuff, and I enjoy that. Um, on the other side of that, I have a question for you on the buyers end of things, because this is um and maybe you can talk me through this a little bit better, because what I'm a little bit scared of, and I don't want it to become a rich man's game to ride a mule. You know, um, you and I both grew up with everybody's got horses in their backyard, right? It's just Like who doesn't have horses? Who doesn't have mules? You know, the communities you and I both grew up in, it was like that.
Yeah.
Um, and you know, people, you know, just the average person could kind of afford it, you know. Um, Nowadays it's getting to be challenging. It's not just because of prices of mules, the prices of a pickup, prices of a trailer, price of a saddle, everything. You know,
Yeah.
just I mean, shoot, Cody, just the snaffle bits that I buy, just a snaffle bit, $300. You know, I
Yeah.
mean, it's all everything is expensive, and because of that, I do see it weeding out a lot of people. Um, you know, and I look in the valley that I live in now, this place where I live, San Pete Valley, which is north of where Tropic is a little ways, and you know, horses and mules are becoming less and less. You know, they just people can't afford them. You know, and if I wasn't in this business of actually riding mules for a living, I'm, you know, if I had to go get a job here in this where I live, you know, I don't know if there is a business that I'd be able to afford animals. So, what's your thoughts on that end of the spectrum for the future of
Um,
money?
I mean, yeah, it's not cheap right now. The whole world's not cheap, no matter what you look at, you know. I agree with what you said, but I think there's always gonna be, I still think you can always find, you know, the cheaper good meals. So there's different auctions everywhere. And I don't know. I just think you can find cheaper good meals. You know, we call them a diamond in the rough.
Yeah.
You know, they're there and you just got to find them. But it is tough right now. The expenses on everybody in every part of the world is huge. And some horses are very expensive, some mules are very expensive right now, but there's the lower mules too that aren't as expensive. I feel it's just
Yeah.
finding them and what auctions they're at or where they're being offered. So
Well, and that's kind of where I come in with people. I tell them, hey, you know, there's some you don't have to buy that 20, 25, $30,000 meal. You don't nobody's making you do that. You can go buy that meal for $2,000, but you're gonna need some education. Like
yeah,
and you're gonna have to bring it up and learn how to ride and learn how to train and learn how to help it out. And so it's, you know, either put in the work or put in the money, it seems to be right now, you know.
right. Time is
Uh,
money. I mean, if they don't have the money, then all they have to offer is time. So that's the option they're gonna have to pick. But
yeah.
um, that or you know, go to one of your clinics or 10.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, cool. Any other advice that you would like to give uh, to buyers or sellers coming to Bryce Canyon?
Well, to sellers, I guess, you know, they were great. We've got a great bunch this year, and people are getting more open about how we do the sale and stuff, but just not to be afraid. I mean, if you got a good mule, get it nominated, come try it out, come see Bryce Canyon. Same with the buyers. Come see it. Come for the whole week though. Um, shoot, they rent out mules. They've got mules that they'll let you ride if you don't have a friend or you don't have a mule or you can't find a sale mule that you can ride. Bryce Canyon Mule Days has them. So just come see it and enjoy it. It's really awesome. It's a great event. Great family, the Meekum family that puts it on. And um, but yeah, sellers, if you got those mules, don't hesitate, you know, come try it. I think they'll love it. If they've got a good meal, I think they'll love the whole week of Bryce Canyon Mule Days, don't you?
Oh yeah, I love Bryce Canyon. Meekums are awesome. You guys are awesome. It's just a great time.
Yeah.
For me it's home, so I'm it's real close to home, which I really like. I don't For once I don't have to drive, you know, 10 hours to a clinic or something.
Yeah, I know.
So it's
But
nice.
I think you leave there and go to a clinic, don't you?
Yeah, there's always one right after before. This year I got another clinic at home. So
Oh,
it'd
cool.
be kind of nice to not be in such a hurry to fly across the country somewhere else. So
Yeah.
it'll be good.
That's perfect.
So, um, well, this has been awesome. I appreciate you
Thanks.
taking your time to do this, and hopefully some of your suggestions will be taken by either the sellers or the buyers, and can keep improving the mule industry.
Yes, that's the
Um,
main.
yeah. What do you have any hopes and dreams for the mule industry, or for like where you're even for you and Colby, your guys' life and business? Like what do you got any hopes there?
Um, just that it keeps improving, but it has, like I said, over just the past 30 years, it's improved a bunch. But the breeding of mules and the quality of breeding of mules and just that it keeps improving, I believe.
Well, I think it will. We'll keep
Yeah,
working at it. We'll keep
yeah.
working at it.
Everybody's working hard, so that's all we can do.
Yeah. Well, I got one last question for you. So this is something I ask all my guests at the end of all my podcasts. I ask for a piece of advice for people going down this road of life. The one thing, which I know there's never the one thing, but if you could give a piece of advice to people living right now on this earth, listening to this podcast, it could be life advice, mule advice, training tips, family, faith. What would you give them?
I would say, get out and do things, get out and do the things that you want to do. And even if let's say you don't have a lot of money, that's fine. There's things that don't cost much money. Even if it's sitting around a campfire in your backyard at night or anything, just get out and do things that makes you happy once in a great while, at least. We're all busy, we're all working hard, but you got to do things that make you happy. That's most important.
Yeah, I like that. You guys are good at that. You guys live that, whether you guys are camping or hunting or muling or roping or whatever. You guys are living that. So I appreciate
We
it.
try to.
Well, Cody, thank you so much for doing this for me. This has been fun to visit with you.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I appreciate it a bunch.
What is it? What is it you told me you wanted to check off your public
Oh
speaking?
gosh. Yes.
You can check it off now. So, anyways, hey, before we sign off here, tell people where they can find out more information about what you guys do, about your cells, about especially Mule Days and all that.
Yeah. Well, Mule Days is brycecanyonmuledays.com. And then we are the sale at that Mule Days, and that's at premiermulesale.com. We're all on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok as well. And then our horse sales is premierhorsesales.com. So we have premiermulesale.com and premierhorsesales.com.
Awesome. You guys do a great job. Keep it up.
Thank you. You too. We appreciate you.
Heck yeah. And to all of our listeners out there, you guys, thank you so much for tuning in today. We appreciate you. Big shout out to our sponsors. We got Roman Home Tents, Colt Saddlery, Diamond W Enterprises, Mules and More Magazine, and Western Mule Magazine. Big thanks to all those sponsors making this episode free for you. And if you get a chance, leave a review, you guys. Let us know how you like the episodes. Tell us what your favorite episode is, and be sure if you post it on social media to tag us. And with that, you guys, God bless you, and we will see you down the road.